today's show is about networking. It's about building your brand. It's about strategy. And we intentionally had Chris on to talk about mindset. So none of these strategies, tactics, and tools are going to work unless you have the right mindset. And now we're going to bring on Josh Klemons, and he is a strategist and a tactician who's going to help us. And Josh Klemons is a digital storyteller, strategist, and founder of Reverbal Communications, helping brands of all shapes and sizes tell their stories. He has done digital work with local, statewide, and political campaigns, tiny nonprofits, and Fortune 500s, and everything in between.
He's also
how's
the
it going?
host of...
Oh.
1 second. We're not done with our huge intro yet. We got lots more to say.
We got more for you. We got more. You're also the host of Step Up Your Social, a podcast consisting of short episodes, 10 minutes or less, dedicated to quick, actionable tips to help brands take their digital marketing to the next level. You can listen to all his episodes at stepupyoursocial.com or wherever you stream podcasts. His motto is simple: you have a story, let's tell it.
Welcome, Josh. We're so glad to have you here. To start
Thanks for
out,
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And to start out, we'd like to have you tell us about this podcast. It sounds great.
Yeah, so I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm a big fan. And a lot of the podcasts I listen to are long. And I was thinking about starting my own just because I'm such a fan of the medium. And something I realized is that I really enjoy quick podcasts that really get to the heart of a matter and then let me get on with my day. So I started one. It's called Step Up Your Social. All the episodes are short, around 10 minutes or less. And each one provides a quick actionable tip to help the listener take their digital marketing to the next level. So sometimes it's very specific tips, like how to set up a tool that you should use, or literally free tools you should be using. Sometimes it's looking at somebody else's strategy and learning from it, or somebody's mistake and learning from it. I did an episode not that long ago about times that the airlines blew it on social and what we can learn from their mistakes. So always punch up, never down, of course. But yeah, check it out today at stepupyoursocial.com or wherever you stream podcasts.
That is awesome. So how do you help brands tell their stories online?
Yeah, I do it through a lot of different ways, everything from general consulting, strategy, and training to full-on implementation. My team and I manage social programs for political campaigns, companies, nonprofits, but then also doing a lot of strategy and consulting work, helping folks figure out how to better tell their story online. So really, I work with brands. I meet brands where they are. Some companies and nonprofits I work with for an hour, and some I've been working with for years. It really just depends on what they need, and I try to really match their needs with my offerings. So I get to work with a lot of really cool clients that way.
That's fantastic. How much time, this is the biggest question that we always get, and I'm sure you get it too. How much time does it take? The people talk about being on social, and the first thing that people say is, I'm busy, I got a life, I got kids, they're in school, they're not in school, all these things going on. How much time does it take to implement a good social media strategy, and where should people start?
Yeah, social media, like anything, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, of course. But I am a firm believer, and I do a lot of public speaking and writing on the fact that you can master your social media in 20 minutes a day. So a brand, if they have a plan and if they stick to it, I genuinely believe can master their social in 20 minutes a day through the very simple goal of selling. And in this case, SELL is an acronym for share, engage, listen, learn. Those are the 4 things that you need to do on a weekly basis. Share, post content. Engage, literally talk to your audience. Listen is social listening. What is your audience talking about? What are the influencers in your space, the press in your space, your competitors, what are they talking about? And then learn is checking your analytics. Because if you're talking at your audience and not checking your analytics, you're talking at them, you're not talking with them. You have no idea what's working well if you're not checking in. Your audience is regularly telling you what content they like and what content they don't. But if you're not checking your analytics, you're ignoring them. So by doing sharing, engaging, listening, and learning on an ongoing basis, week in and week out, I genuinely believe in 20 minutes a day, you can have a solid social program. Not award-winning, but solid. It keeps the ball rolling. There are other components, of course, that go into it. You have to create systems. Blogging is super important, and we can talk about all that if you'd like. But yeah, those are the 4 pieces that go into day-to-day daily management of a social channel that doesn't make you neglect your kids or your business or, your personal health to make sure that your social channels are still moving along.
I can do 20 minutes a day. That's good. I like it.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, can we break it down a little bit, and can you explain a little bit more details about what kind of content you're putting on social media? Is it video? Is it text? Is it images? Can you kind of give us a little bit of,
Yeah, it totally depends. For my own brand, it's different, of course, than for lots and lots of other brands. Everybody sort of needs a strategy to understand what kind of content's going to work. But honestly, a huge part of content creation is curation. You are an expert in your field. You know more about your field than your audience does. It's your job to help them feel smart on an ongoing basis. And one way to do that is to share the content that you're using to stay smart, to stay engaged, to stay up to date about your field, and sharing it in your field. So if you're creating 100% of the posts in your streams, you're missing a huge opportunity to actually be a curating expert for your audience. There's a rule in digital marketing, 80-20. 20% of your content can promote yourself. It can say, hey, we've got a sale. Hey, we're open for dinner tonight. Hey, check out the show. 80% of your content needs to be simply helpful for your audience. What does helpful mean? So many things. Like what would make your audience's life better? That's the type of content you want to share. Photos, videos, text, it doesn't matter. It matters, of course. Like the content needs to be good. But at the end of the day, you need to find ways to share content with your audience that they're excited about. And that's, again, where analytics come in. If every time you share a video, it blows up in your feed, great, like video is helpful. But honestly, plenty of brands don't have budget time, and budget and time built in for video, and they do just fine. Photography in the house, and also finding content that's helpful for them. So you read an article, y'all want to share about what's going on, not just on the show, but in the neighborhood. Like what else is happening? Like y'all's show is so much bigger than your show. And the example I like to use, don't confuse your brand and your product. Your product is the show. Your brand is much larger than the show. Your brand is helping make people better at doing whatever it is that they want to do. It's networking, it's bringing people together. So if every piece of content you share is about the show, you're only talking about your product, you're missing a huge opportunity to build a brand around your product. 80% of your content should be that brand building, helpful content that says, hey, you know what? This has nothing to do with us, but there's some cool stuff going on this weekend in town. Everybody should check it out. Hey, here's a networking event. We're going to go. We're not hosting it. We're not a sponsor, but it's a really cool opportunity. That is absolutely in line with the Connect Show's brand, and it's totally good to share. And likewise, a restaurant talking about the concert next door. Maybe people come have dinner with you before they go to the show, and if not, who cares? You're showing them that you're their neighbor, their friend, part of their community. You're building a relationship by adding value to their life on a daily basis.
I really like that you gave us direct help. That is awesome. This is perfect.
That was not a criticism by any means.
No, we're gonna use this because it's much easier to figure out what somebody else needs to do than figure out what you need to do for yourself. And even if you tell people, you should make video like this. I make video all day long. When I sit in front of the camera, what do? The salesman turns on. Come buy my video. That's what I do. And it's like, no. You're not supposed to do that. I know that, but I sometimes need someone like you to help and tell me that, and that's so important. Now, a couple of minutes ago, you mentioned an ancient term, blog.
Let's hear it.
Is blog still a thing?
Absolutely. If you're not blogging and you're trying to build a brand, you're never going to get as far as you want to get. I'll give you 3 reasons right now to blog. If you're not already doing it, these 3 reasons should convert you. If they don't, so be it. Like your business must be doing so well that you don't need new customers, clients, or audience members, right? The 3 reasons you should be blogging, very simple. 1, it's great for your SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. It's the ability of somebody to go on Google and find you. If they search your name and you don't come up, you have terrible SEO. If they search a very general thing that you are in the space of and you're the first thing, you have amazing SEO. Most people are in the middle. One of the best things you can do for your SEO is blog. When you create blog content, you're showing Google that you're taking your account seriously. You're answering questions for your audience. You're bringing them in. So if you want more people to find you on Google, blogging is by far, other than building a solid website to begin with, by far the best thing you can do is blog. The second reason to blog is that by default, it makes you an expert. There's a concept on digital marketing called the 90, or in digital in general, the 90, 9-1 rule. 90% of all users are just consumers. They read the news, they watch the videos, that's it. 9% engage and share and get involved, share the articles, share the videos, which leaves 1% of people creating all the content. So when you sit down and talk about your industry in a way that shows your expertise, by default, you're becoming part of the 1% of experts in your field. By default, super simple. And the third reason is that it creates bridges to your website. Doesn't matter how nice your website is, you can't keep asking people to go visit it, right? Like, you've got a great website, it's beautiful, you love your branding, you're trying to send people to your site on a regular basis to check out your offerings, your services, your sales. You can only ask people to visit your website so often unless you blog, and then you can ask them to come to your site forever. Blogs create bridges between your social channels and your website. You share 10 things you should be doing in Milwaukee this weekend. Drop one of them in Facebook and say, hey, got lots more of those where that came from. Head on over to the site, and at the bottom, one of those 10 things is come to the event that you're hosting. Not 10 of them are your events. One of them is your event, right? Or 10 fall fashions that you should be paying attention to this season. And maybe then there's a link to your store where you're selling your sweatshirts or whatever. You're building those bridges, but you can't just say, hey, check out my sweatshirt, because that's content for you. But if you're adding value that ultimately leads to the sale, the audience build, the trust, that's okay. It's not that you can't develop relationships that help your business. It's that only trying to help your business is a surefire way to quote unquote fail at social. Nobody is going to take you seriously if every post they see from you is asking you to buy something from them. So instead, add value, which seamlessly works their way into that sale. Does that make sense?
It makes
Did I sell you? Did I convince you?
I'm going to start blogging tonight. And
I can't wait to read it.
real specific. I want to get into a tactic and a strategy here that's very specific to, I think, everybody who's here. We're all predominantly LinkedIn. I write a blog on my website, beautifully crafted, wordsmithed, ready to go. How do I put that on LinkedIn? You've
got two choices. You've got two options. One, share a link to it, right? Two, recreate it as an article in LinkedIn. And
Which is better?
I highly recommend you test. I have read lots of people say that articles have done really well for them. I invested a bunch of time trying to get articles to work well for me, and they never did. And after a lot of time of investing in the LinkedIn articles, I just never found value, and I stopped. Now, maybe it's been a couple years, truth be told. Maybe I should try again. But I tested pretty heavily. Will articles actually help me get in front of more people? And the answer was definitively that they will not. So better bet, just post a link to it in LinkedIn, but do not sell your product, sell your brand. Don't just drop the link in there and expect people to flock to it. They're not gonna. Add value to their timeline. If you can't add value to where people are, you're just clutter, you're just in their way. So make sure that LinkedIn post by itself helps me be smarter at whatever it is you want me to be smarter at. And then invite me to learn more at your blog. Don't just tell me you have a new blog post, because I hate to break it to you. The world's not sitting around waiting for your blog post. You have to give them a reason to want to check it out.
Nobody cares. So you're going to write
one other hack. I'll give you one more hack since we're LinkedIn folks. Putting the link in the first comment can also often outperform putting it right in the post.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm glad you covered that, because that's like a real specific, so you're saying write a juicy little nugget to get them excited, and then put a link in the comments, and then that's kind of the structure.
My recommendation is do both over the course of a few months, and then test it and see which one works better for you. But absolutely, that is something that I have read about and seen in action. But LinkedIn's a little bit more random with that. I don't find it to be you're not going to get 10 times more reach by putting it in the comment. So if it's easier for you, it's fine. But that is definitely something I would test. And I would test articles. I can tell you from personal experience, articles didn't move the needle for me, so I stopped investing the time. But yeah, test both. And frankly, LinkedIn too is very weird about pictures. Test that as well. Put a photo or a graphic in there and see how that performs for you versus not, because you never really know. With LinkedIn, it's kind of random. They really like text. Sometimes they love photos, sometimes they don't.
Tracy, are you able to read Jennifer's comment?
A little bit. Was that about Sue Gresham?
Yeah.
I see that they said not to do that.
They said not to put the link as the first comment. in the thing.
I've heard of it both ways. I've heard of it making it in the post or in the comment, and I've heard like a 50-50 balance on some people say it's better one way or the other.
I think what she's saying is,
which is why my advice.
Yeah, be the second comment, not the first comment.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't like you to be the first comment. They're on to us.
This all goes back to the importance. I didn't say to do it. I said to test it, right? See what works for your audience. You never know. But yeah, the LinkedIn algorithm, just like all the other algorithms, are constantly changing. And part of our job is keeping up with them and understanding what's going to work well and what's not. Once upon a time, the only thing LinkedIn liked was really long form text posts. Now, most of the stuff I see has photos in it, right? For a long time, they hated photos. Now they don't. For a long time, they were obsessed with video. You might remember about 2 years ago, every video in your feed had 100,000 views. When's the last time you saw a video on LinkedIn? Probably did, but it probably didn't have tens of thousands of views. Like, that was something they pushed hard for a bit, and then they sort of like took the gas off of. So it's all about like, don't just have a strategy and live with it no matter what. Check your analytics. If you're not checking your analytics, you're literally wasting your time because you have no idea what's working and what isn't.
Test, measure, adjust.
It really does make a difference on who your audience is. I think that's the key factor.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious. Our topic today is about networking. How much networking are you doing, and do you have any good networking tips for us?
First of all, my biggest tip for everybody is that they should think of social media as one giant digital networking event. Would you ever walk into a networking event and hand everybody your business card and try to sell them a product? It's a great way to not get invited back next year, right? Like, nobody wants to talk to the person that's trying to sell them the car at the networking event. But if you can walk into that room and delight people, engage people, entertain people about cars, and they walk away with your business card, they'll write a note on the back, and the next time they need a car, you're going to be their first phone call because, oh yeah, that guy was great. He was really interesting and helped me save 10 miles on my gas every month, whatever. So I think that's the first thing. The next thing I would say, highly recommend Facebook groups. Some of them, especially in a pandemic where I used to go out into the world all the time and meet with people in real life. Now, the vast majority of my networking happens in Facebook groups, and I can't tell you how much value Facebook groups have added to my professional and, frankly, personal life. I am a smarter marketer, networker, everything because I have Facebook groups. I found some really great groups. I wish that LinkedIn groups were as useful as Facebook groups are today. LinkedIn was first to the party with groups, and then they just kind of stopped investing in it, is my experience. And if that's not your experience, everybody has a different social experience, but I still get a ton of value from Facebook groups. When I started my podcast, I went to Google first, read as much as I could because I didn't know anything. I was a listener, but this was years ago. I didn't know anything about hosting a podcast. So I went to Google, I read as much as I could. I got so much conflicting information and back and forth, and I left as confused as I went in. So I went and found a Facebook group, tens of thousands of members. Every time I have a question, there's like 1,000 people way smarter than me running podcasts with way larger audiences and way more complicated situations. And I know for sure I can go in there and either find the question they've already asked, and if they haven't, I can ask it myself and get an answer really quickly. It's the next level of like Google. It's like creating communities of people that are answering each other's questions, helping each other succeed. That's
better than the commercials. Some of their commercials are pretty good. Josh, we are so happy to have you on the show. This has been so wonderful you gave us strategy, you gave us tools, techniques, things that we can implement today, and we greatly appreciate it. It's been wonderful. And if anyone would like to know anything more about Josh, you can go to theconnectshow.com/Josh Klemons. We'll put a link in the chat. If it's not already there, we'll put it on the screen. We will write it on the side of the building and make sure that everybody knows where it is. So when you come to Serendipity Labs, you know how you can get in touch with Josh. And with that, we are going to, yep.
I was going to ask if he had anything he wanted to offer our guest today.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a free checklist that I created for Facebook Live. You can download it for free at bit.ly, bit.ly/Facebook Live checklist. And if you go there, you can download it. It's just things to think about before, during, and after you go live on Facebook to make sure that you have the best experience for you and for your audience.
That is wonderful. Awesome. We're going to download it.
Thanks.